What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be doing a pretty interesting video. We're going to be talking about the P10c again, except this time I'm going to try to answer a lot of the questions I got in the comments of my previous videos. I'm also going to be attempting to compare it to just about every single pistol in its class. And what I mean by that, any pistol that you could use for an all-around handgun. Something that could flex into concealed carry, but also into home defense and some other categories we'll talk about. There's not going to be any small single-stack subcompacts, and there's not going to be any real large-framed Glock 34S type of guns either. Just your standard do-it-all pistols. Most of them are going to be striker-fired. However, we are going to have some hammer-fired guns in here as well. I will reference some guns that I don't currently have in my collection. Stuff that I have a lot of information on. I'll be leaving out a couple of specific guns that I don't have a lot of experience on, like the FN series, for example. I have shot several of them, but I don't have the new FN, so I won't really be talking about it. I won't be talking about the new Beretta, but I do have lots of other pistols that we're going to compare them to, and I have all the pistols that most people ask me about comparing it to, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to be comparing the pistols in the same categories that I would use for review. Stuff like reliability, durability, accuracy, and so on. And I'll probably compare the P10 to some of the best pistols in that category and just kind of gloss over the other ones to save a little bit of time. So let's go ahead here and start off with the most important category, which for me in a semi-automatic pistol is going to be reliability. So as you see here on the table, I have quite a few guns laid out, and we're going to talk about some that are on the table again, but mainly we're going to be talking about this guy right here. Now we're going to be comparing the P10c to these guns as if they were stock. Now most of these guns on the table are mine. I guess all the guns on the table are mine and I own them, but a lot of them have modifications. We're going to talk about some of the modifications at the end of the video. But for the most part, we're going to talk about them as if they were stock, because most of these guns I did shoot and review while they were stock. So kind of pretend that I don't have a red dot on this P10c and kind of pretend like it's got the standard texture, and we'll go through that with all the other guns as well. But as far as reliability, the P10c is excellent. I have tons of rounds, much more rounds than most people have reviewed this on YouTube, because I have my own range and I shoot an awful lot. So I have almost 3,000 rounds for this pistol by now, and I can tell you that I've had I had one malfunction for sure that I can remember, and I think that's it. Any ammo that you'd want to put through it, it will handle with no issues. There, however, are some other guns on the table that match the reliability of this pistol. I would like to start with the Glock 19. Yep, I have a Glock 19, or a Glock 17, sorry, on the table as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But the Glock 19 is as reliable as the P10, and it has a better track record. What that means is that not only is it as reliable through my testing, but this gun has a track record of being stupid reliable. So would I say that this is slightly more reliable? Yes, only because this has been tested for a lot longer period of time than this has. Another gun that would easily match the P10c's reliability is going to be the P-07. The P-07 is as reliable as the P10. There's no doubt about that. It works a little bit differently. It's a double single action, but it is as reliable, and so is the PPQ. I own several PPQs. This is just the one that matches the size of the P10c the best, and I can tell you this pistol is extremely reliable as well. Some that fall a little bit short, honestly, are going to be my Wilson Combat. It's not as reliable as my P10c. The Canic Elite, although now is much more reliable than it was when I started, is not as reliable as a P10c, and in my experience, neither is the M&P. My traditional standard M&P is probably as reliable. This is the Gen 1, but I do have a Gen 2 up here and is fairly ammo picky. So I would say that the P10c is more reliable than the M&P series. Now, as far as accuracy goes, the P10c is again right up there. It's probably my second most important category as far as a pistol goes. And what I'm talking about isn't bench rest accuracy. I'm not talking about putting it in a vise and shooting it like that. I'm talking about what kind of accuracy you can get out of it. And when I consider pistol accuracy, I talk about sights and trigger. And out of the box, the P10c sights are excellent, and the trigger is really, really good. It's in the top 5 best triggers in the polymer frame world. But what has the best trigger in the polymer frame world? Well, I would say it's the PPQ. Out of the box, I think I was just a little bit more accurate with the PPQ. However, the PPQ sights are not quite as good, so it's almost a wash. Another pistol that I am as accurate with as the P10c is going to be the P-07. A little bit of a cheat, however, out of the box, I don't think it would be as accurate as the P10c, but I do have the Cajun Gunworks trigger kit in here, which makes the single action trigger of this gun even better than the PPQ or the P10c. So the P-07 with a little bit of work is also, I would say it's actually above these two with the Cajun Gunworks trigger kit. But again, I might be biased because I shoot a lot of double single action guns. I think 1911s are the most accurate platform as far as pistols go on the market today. The Wilson Combat, I've had some issues with this particular model, but in general, if you get a high quality custom 1911, you can shoot very, very small groups. And the reason behind that is the single action only trigger is just unmatched in the gun world, in my opinion. Not only is it single action, but it's a straight back pull. There is no fulcrum with 1911 triggers, and it just makes it easier for most people to get more accurate groups. So out of all the guns on the table, I would consider the 1911 the most accurate. So now we're going to get into some of the ergonomics, and a lot of this is going to be subjective. I'm going to try to do the best I can to not be biased with it, but you have to remember that all these pistols are great, and you should try them out for yourself. So we already touched on trigger, as I said, Wilson Combat, probably PPQ, CZ P10c. Then after that, I would go Canik Elite, most likely for the trigger, best trigger. Caniks have really good triggers for the price that they are. After that, I would probably go a stock Glock, although none of these triggers are stock. And after that, I'd probably go the M&P. Why? Because I don't really like that articulated trigger that the M&P comes with. 2.0 trigger is significantly better, lighter and crisper than the original M&P. So if you're going to go M&P 2.0, it might actually be better than the Glock. But again, it's very subjective, and you're really going to have to check that out. Out of the box, all these guns have grip tape or grip texture or something done to them, except for the M&P 2.0. The M&P 2.0, far and away, in my opinion, has the best grip texture out of the box. If you're sweaty, bloody, muddy, whatever it may be, if you just want to shoot rapid strings of fire, the texture on the M&P 2.0 is exceptional. I think texture is really important for speed shooting. The better you can hold that pistol down in place, faster that you can shoot. So the M&P 2.0, as far as texture, knocks you out of the park. In second place, I'd go 1911. Why? Because 1911 grips can be easily changed for relatively no cost and no permanent modifications to the firearm. Third place, I'm going to go out of the box CZ P10c. It had pretty good texture when I got it. It was a little weird, but I still liked it over some of the other guns on the table. And the ones that kind of fall short, in my opinion, the ones that I really don't like, are going to be Glock texture. The PPQ is way too slick, and the Canik is as well. Another gun that I forgot to mention really quick in the trigger category is going to be the SIG 320. It does have an exceptional trigger as well. I would say the SIG 320 trigger is on par with the Canik. And the reason why I brought up the SIG 320 is because out of all these pistols, it has probably the worst bore axis, and that's what we're going to talk about next. So what is bore axis and why is it important? Well, bore axis is the distance between the web of your hand, how high you can get your hand, and the middle of the bore where the bullet comes out. I know there's a lot of debate on the internet whether that affects recoil or not, and I'm not sure why there is. Maybe those people haven't taken a science class. Bore axis isn't the only thing that affects recoil. Absolutely. The weight of the gun affects it, the caliber that you're firing, the weight of the slide, the reciprocating mass versus the entire mass of the pistol. Yes, all those things are a factor, and I do actually have a video on bore axis versus recoil, by the way, if you want to check that out. Other than limiting the muzzle flip of the gun, not necessarily felt recoil, but muzzle flip in general, it does offer a couple other things as well, like sight acquisition. The higher or lower your bore axis is in comparison to some of the other pistols you may shoot, it may mess with you when you're trying to present your pistol. It also has a lot to do with concealed carry. If you're going to concealed carry a pistol like this with a very low bore axis, it is going to be a lower imprint on your body. If you compare the two with the same size grip, if one has a higher slide, it is a bigger gun and prints more when you concealed carry. I would say out of all of these, the lowest bore axis are going to be the Glock, the P10c, and the CZ P-07. Also, the Canik has a pretty low bore axis, and so does the M&P. The only one that struggles even slightly is going to be the PPQ, which again, not that big a deal at all if you compare it with something like the M&P. They're still very, very close. So let's talk about recoil again really quick, and just this is overall recoil, muzzle flip, everything. Pretty much anything that will get you faster follow-up shots. So out of all that, I think, again, the CZ P10c is, if not its number one, it's tied for number one. This is a very fast shooting pistol. After that, the P-07, probably equal to the recoil impulse of the P10. and I would say so is the M&P. Very low recoil, very fast follow-up shots. Some of the guns that may fall slightly short in this are going to be the PPQ. The one thing out of all the things I would say against the PPQ is a great gun. It's an amazing gun in its own right, maybe one of my favorites of all time. But the one thing that kind of drags it down a little bit is it is relatively snappy. Part of that is because it's extremely lightweight, part of it's because it has a higher bore axis, and part of it's because it has a heavier reciprocating slide. I think a lot of those have to do with it. Now you can negate a lot of that by getting the Q5 match, or just any of the 5-inch versions. You could put a light on it, you could get it ported, you can do lots of stuff. So I'm not saying that there's anything really wrong with the PPQ, you just have to do a couple things to fix that issue if you want it to shoot as fast as something like a P10c or a P-07. Now you have to remember with recoil impulse, there's lots of other things that involve in that as well. More so over even the gun is going to be your grip, stance, and your just general knowledge of firearms. If I were to shoot a 44 Magnum versus my wife shooting a 380, I could probably shoot faster with a 44 Magnum simply because I have a lot of rounds through guns.
Fucking God.
And I'm bigger, stronger, my stance, my grip is better. So just remember that when you talk about recoil impulse, but compared just same person shooting all these guns, that's how I think they rank. Now we're going to talk about value. There's some on this table that are significantly cheaper and significantly more expensive, so this will be a fun category. Most of these run right around $500, but some of them don't. So the PPQ, P-07, P10c, Glock, M&P, all can be had for right around the same price, somewhere between $400 and $550. I would say the P10c, P-07 might be a little bit cheaper than something like the Glock. You get M&Ps right now for right around $400. Really great deal. A lot of people talk crap with the M&P. I think it's a great gun. The Canic series, any of the Canics, but the Canic Elites around the same size, it is going to be a lot cheaper. I think I got this for a little bit over $300 some dollars, and you know, I had some problems with it initially, but I think one of the reasons for that is because I got a very early batch before they worked out some of the kinks. Now that I have a new recoil spring, it works great for a $300 to $350 gun. It's a great buy. Something that is not value oriented is going to be this Wilson Combat here, which, believe it or not, is a $3,500 gun. So yeah, if you want to get into custom 1911s, you're going to have to pay for it. Now we'll get into accessories. Out of all these pistols, there's a couple here that are a lot better in the accessories category. That's going to be the Glock. The Glock's the king of the accessories. If you're looking for tons of accessories, these are your buys right here. 1911's right behind it, I think. Maybe they're even tied, but the Glock accessories are easy to handle and easy to put in for most people. If somebody tells you they're a Glock armor, just snicker under your breath, because Glocks are super easy to work on. I've built entire custom Glocks myself, and I'm definitely no gunsmith. 1911s, again, there's lots available. They might be a little bit harder to work on, but again, not really that tough. You can definitely find videos online. So these two are the best. M&P comes up right behind it. Anything you'd want for an M&P almost, besides a decent slide release, is available as well. And M&Ps, again, can be customized however you want. PPQs, a little bit less, I would say, but still a lot of stuff available. P-07s, CZ P10Cs, a little bit harder, especially in the holster category. If you're looking for common holsters, you're going to be a little bit harder to find with something like the P-07, P-09 series, or the P10c. Although the P10c has an advantage over the P-07 for sure, because it fits in some Glock 19, Glock 17 holsters. You just have to remember that it's a little bit wider, I feel like, at the nose, because some of mine fit, some of them don't. Last, as far as the accessories, I'm going to say probably the Canic, just because I don't see that many available. The SIG P320, keep forgetting to mention that guy as well, just because it's not on the table. Accessories are available for it as well. I would say the recoil of the 320 is probably one of the worst on the table as well, but again, that's very subjective. Now we're going to talk about size and weight, and then the last category will probably be overall shootability. The overall winner here, most of you can probably guess, it's going to be the Glock, right? The Glock is still the lightest baby in the woods, and it's still one of the best shooters. So overall size and weight is going to have to go to the Glock 19 at a mini 24 ounces. 24 ounces for a gun that you can carry and fight with ease is pretty impressive in my opinion. It also has some of the smallest dimensions on the table as well, with still having a big enough grip to where a guy like me, I'm right in between 6'3" and 6'4", and my hands still fit on this gun just fine. After that's going to be the Glock 17. at 25 ounces. This is a full-size pistol at 25 ounces, not as configured, obviously, with the light and things and the mag wall. But again, 25 ounces for a full-size gun, very impressive. Mechanic Elite is also 25 ounces, as you see right here. Very similar size to the Glock 19. PPQ is also 25 ounces. Which again, right in there. Most of these pistols are going to be right in there in the same size. SIG 320 is 26 ounces, same size as the P10c that you see here. So SIG 320 and P10c are the same weight, although the SIG 320 is going to be a little bit longer in the grip and bore axis area. P-07, 28 ounces. As you see here, so a little bit chunkier than some of the others, about a 4-ounce difference between the Glock and the P-07, but again, recoil impulse lower on the P-07 because of that. The M&P at 28.5, I think, somewhere in there, and then the Wilson Combat at 29 ounces. Now, excluding the M&P 2.0, which is a 5-inch gun, and excluding the Glock 17, which is again another full-size gun, so we're going to take those out of this just because they have an advantage as far as sight radius and barrel length. What are the most shootable guns on the table? I would have to say, if I was going to go into, let's say, a USPSA match or something like that, the two that I would pick to shoot as fast as possible, as fast and as accurate as possible, I'm going to take the P10c. And then right after that, I know some of this is probably going to surprise you, but I'm actually going to take the M&P. I did shoot an M&P in competition for a while, and I really, really like the M&P as far as recoil impulse. Even though the trigger is a little rough, if you add an Apex trigger kit in it, you can shoot really, really quick and really, really accurately. So the M&P is very shootable. After that, I'm going to go, well, I forgot about the P-07. I can shoot the P-07 incredibly well too, but I don't think most people can because they'll have to get used to that double single action trigger. But me, I'm really used to it. So I would say these three are tied. After that, I'm going to go PPQ. I shoot the PPQ almost as good. Again, these are very minuscule choices. Like, all of these could be used relatively easily, relatively quickly. I'm just nitpicking here. You know, again, if these are 100, this is like a 98. So not a big deal. It's really up to the shooter on how well you can shoot these. I shoot the 1911 more accurately, I would say, than I shoot any other pistol in this category. But as far as the subcompacts, the commander size 1911s, for some reason I don't shoot them as fast as I do the full sizes. So again, I'm not talking shit about the 1911. I just feel like I don't shoot these compacts as fast as I do the PPQ or the P10c. What I would really suggest you do is, I think that you should take some of my information, but mostly you should go to a gun shop, preferably an indoor range where you can test guns and hopefully test shoot them as well before you decide to pick your gun for home defense or concealed carry and whatever you choose, because the videos are great and they give you some information, but most of this is subjective. The recoil impulse, even the accuracy, can be very subjective. I've met people that cannot shoot 1911s to save their life, even though I've met some people that can, you know, shoot a grasshopper's dick off. But I've also met people who can't shoot a PPQ very well, and so on. So I think it's extremely important to decide which one you want, because a lot of this is very subjective, and a lot of it comes down to grip angle, grip size, things like that. I forgot to talk about grips really quick. Out of all of them, the PPQ wins. That's pretty much end of story right there. PPQ has the most ergonomic grip, besides maybe the VP9. But actually, the VP9, even though it's not on the table, probably has the best grip on the market. Extremely ergonomic, and not only that, but it has panels that you can change out to make it just a little more ergonomic. However, the VP9 has its own problems in its own right, but the PPQ's grip is awesome, and for me, again, this is subjective, right? Why do I love the PPQ's grip over something like the P10c? Well, because I have giant hands, and the PPQ comes with back straps that not only increase the palm swell here, but it increases the beaver tail just a little bit, and that distance between the end of the grip and the trigger for my long fingers is awesome. So, like I said, a lot of it's very subjective, and you're just going to have to go out and try them yourselves. Please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. The sun's come out to play.
Mm-hmm.
That does not make my shooting any easier.